And there's breaking news coming in from Berlin this morning. Police say one person has been killed and 3 others have been injured in a shooting incident in front of a club. And joining us on the program is Senior Foreign Editor Padma Rao. Padma, what more details do we know about this particular attack so far?
Very little, Jessica. This happened in a nightclub called Cozy Club. From the pictures I'm seeing, the initial pictures in the German media, and it happened in a suburb of Berlin, not exactly in the city center, a suburb called Hohenschönhausen. The police say that one man has been injured. The police are telling German agencies that one man was killed and 3 injured indeed. And the extent of the injuries or the seriousness, the gravity of the injuries is not known yet. And the police have also said that they do not have any information so far about the background of those who were involved in this. It was a fight outside this nightclub between several persons. This is the information we have. Shots were fired and as I said, one person died. So the police are not commenting on the origin of who shot whom and what this fight was about. All we know is that it happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. As you know, Berlin is a very big city with a very vibrant nightlife, and this was outside a nightclub on early Saturday. So there might have been people still within that nightclub. So details are emerging thick and fast in the media, and WION will be monitoring what's happening there.
Right, Padma. Yesterday, London, in fact, the Parson Green's tube station, and today, again, Berlin. Europe is seeing a string of attacks. Of course, we don't know right now whether this is a terrorist attack or a lone wolf attack, but what is really happening in the state of Europe is certainly alarming.
Yes, it certainly is, but I would say that it might be wise for us not to connect the dots between London's attack yesterday, which the authorities clearly established had a terrorist link, and the one that happened, early on Saturday morning. In fact, very early this morning in Berlin. So I think we'll have to wait and watch. Berlin is still asleep, the authorities are undoubtedly working. They have cordoned off the site, and the scene of the site. There are pictures in the German media which show that it must have been quite a fierce altercation or a fight, because there are shoes everywhere and there is visible damage on the ground and windows smashed in and that kind of thing. So certainly it must have been. It could have also been just a drunken brawl. And I in the sense that I say just with a certain amount of irony, because of course it's a very serious thing. Any kind of shooting on an open public street in the middle of the night. So, as I said, let's wait and watch to see before we connect the dots. But yes, it is shocking, Jessica, that there are so many things, almost on a daily basis that seem to be happening across Europe. Yesterday in the United Kingdom and today in the capital of Germany.
Right, but then it was on December 19th last year that, a truck was deliberately driven into the Christmas market, which in fact left 12 people dead and 56 others were injured. And just another one in 2017. Despite stepping up the security, of course, one cannot say at this point in time whether this is a terrorist attack or who is in fact behind this particular shooting incident. But do you see there are security lapses, or perhaps the country as a whole needs to step up its security mechanisms?
Well, to be practical, as I said, this was a very remote part of the city. This is not exactly in the heart of Berlin. And certainly, hearts of cities tend to be better policed than outlying areas or suburbs. But having said that, Germany has, pretty thorough security. I mean, if you see the speed and intensity at which the police actually got to the site of the crime and, took the injured to hospital, that in itself is a big achievement. Because we've also seen incidents when it's taken very long for, especially in our part of the world, for the police to arrive and to actually help the victims there. So all this happened very quickly, which means that there are police stations almost everywhere. There's a density of police stations across Germany, and as I said, if this may have been a crime which had little to do with terrorism and perhaps just with a personal enmity. But yes, it is shocking. Lone wolf attacks, what you just called lone wolf attacks. This Christmas market was one, and yesterday certainly seems to be. And the frightening thing about it, Jessica, is that they seem to be happening in various cities, always at times and at locations where there are bound to be people. Now, obviously, police can't spoil the fun, in a nightclub by sort of having a posse of security personnel posted in every nightclub in these cities. But there is plainclothes intelligence on the streets. I was in Germany not so long ago, and I did notice that there is a greater presence of security on the ground, as the Germans themselves have been telling me.